I think we can get started. Good afternoon, everybody. I think you know my name. I am Binay, and I'll be giving a presentation on WTT, and I'll be helped by Srini over here, who will be doing a demo on WTT. We'll be talking about basics of WTT, what WTT is all about. Then we'll go into discussing one basic pillar of WTT, that is called jobs, and then we'll have demo from Srini, and then we'll talk about some more features of WTT. So what is WTT? Let me ask you guys, have you worked on any, does anybody know what test harness is? Anybody? Test harness?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like developing a UI for testing any particular component. A dummy UI kind of thing, which is not used in real-time scenario, but it is used for testing the component.
Okay, it's pretty close. So it's a kind of an interface that we provide to testers so that they don't have to write code from end to end. Like if you, and let's say you want to write a test script and that will generate a file and then do some IO operation and do something else. So rather than for every test that you are gonna do and have every test like go through the same steps, you are given an environment where you can take some of the steps and just say, okay, these are the things I wanna do, and it should be able to either generate a exe or generate a in file that guide through the same kind of testing. WTT is a superset of test harness. It's not exactly only test harness, it's actually an end-to-end solution for test case management and test development and results reporting. So how do we go about doing testing? First we figure out and this is our component, these are the white papers, this is what it is supposed to do. Then from that we figure out, okay, this is how my test plan should look like. This is the different thing that my test should do. Next we start writing tests. So this is the point where WTT comes into picture. Like we give people to manage their test cases that they are doing. So that's test case management. Then for test case development, we provide a test harness. Then we also provide a lot of automation. We'll go into detail later on. And that gives an environment where you can really spend very less time writing test and get a lot of output what your test can cover. WTT is a distributed automated system. So I'll get into detail later on like what I really mean by distributed automated system. So the basic fundamental you can take from here is, rather than having just one test script or relying on one process that this will do everything for me, like there may be environment where you can't have that scenario. You will have scenarios where you have client server scenario where you have test running on client as well as on server. So in those scenarios you really need a distributed automated system that can help you develop those kind of tests. Let me clearly touch base on like how this WTT development is happening. Currently we have a very small team dedicated to doing development for WTT, and rest of all is being done by virtual team. So other people like Srini, myself, and some more people from other teams are dedicating some effort to get the features into WTT. So it's a totally virtual team that is doing all the development. Now coming to where are we like with respect to NT4, Win2K, XP, where are our tests? Like are they all on WTT? Are they using WTT? Not exactly. Like WTT 2.0 is supposed to, and that's the next version of WTT, is supposed to come in March end or early April. So by that time mostly our tests, at least for Win2K, all tests or most of them are on TE. That was the previous test harness or test case management tool that we were using. NT4 we didn't use any test harness, and actually we don't have any plan for using WTT there. For Win2K we are planning to move all of our tests from TE to WTT, and also there are some other teams or some teams in WinSE which have some tests on some other test harness tools. So we are trying to migrate those tests as well. Maybe you guys will be involved with a lot of those kind of test migration. Moving on, WTT components, these are the basic components that we'll be talking about. Jobs, that's the basic pillar of WTT. Asset management, as name specifies. SDK, it's similar to what you can think from SDK, like it's a set of APIs that you can use to like write your own tool and other stuff. Auto triaging, logger, I'll go into detail of each of this now. Basically, how does WTT works? This is different basic components that will be there. So once you have a test machine, like these are our test machines, and this is, let's say, your dev box right here. Then, and let's say you have already added some tests to WTT. So this is your test case database, which has all the test case stored. So you decide from your dev box that okay, this is the test I want to run. Then you put that to a scheduler which is running on a WTT automation database. So this is test case database, and this guy is automation database. So automation database takes care of all runtime environment. So over here, once you say that this is the job I want to run, then it will schedule that job depending on what kind of constraint that you have put. You may want to say, okay, when I go home, then start this test, or whatever constraint you may put there. So scheduler will create a job and put it to WTT controller. For controller, you can imagine it something similar to routers. So how router works for network, similarly controller works for WTT. So scheduler will send the job down to WTT controller, and WTT controller will be kind of per lab basis, and that will control like how jobs will be going to the test machines. Now which test machine will be selected is decided here, like which machines satisfy the criteria that you have set. And here you get all, so controller will send it to the machines. So tests are executing, and the logs or results are going back. It may, so you can notice like it may be like one job only you scheduled, and it may go to multiple machine. It may not be single machine. And the results are back to controller and then to the database. These are the four basic building blocks of a job. Job is consist of tasks, constraints, parameter, and logical machine set. I'll get into details of this. Let me first talk about what are the different type of jobs that we handle. One is automated job, as you can imagine. So everything is automated. You have defined like let's say you need a server and to client, and this will be the constraint on server selection, like server kind of machine, and this will be client kind of machine. And then you say, okay, go do this step to set up the server, go this step to set up the client, and then run this test on server and this test on client. So that will be kind of automated job where you don't need to do any manual intervention. But there can be jobs which you really can't do totally automated way. Something like let's say you have a USB device and you want to do testing like PNP testing on it, that is plug and play. So unless you physically put it in and take it out, actually most of your test cases won't be covered. So those falls into the manual job category. There are library jobs which are, you can think as shared automation. A lot of people may have same kind of requirement for automation, or maybe same person or same component may have multiple tests that requires same kind of setup or same kind of settings beforehand. So for them, there is a concept of library jobs. You can't schedule these jobs independently. They will be always sitting in a different job somewhere. So when you are executing that different job, that will in the middle of somewhere will call the library job. Then there are some config jobs which are mostly very similar to library jobs, and you call them just for doing machine setup or machine cleanup when the tests are already done. Are there any questions? Like it makes sense to you all? Like just stop me wherever you have confusion. So getting into the four basic elements of job. One is task. Task you can imagine as a exe that you may want to run or a batch file you may want to run. So it is a process that you want to start, and that is kind of atomic in the sense. So when you define a job, you will actually be defining a lot of tasks that may have to be done. So going back to that example where you are setting up a server and a client scenario, on the server machines you may want to run, let's say you are setting up a domain controller, then one of the tasks will be DC promo. So you will have to run DC promo, and then there may be like join client or setting up some permissions. So those guys will be one executable at a time or one batch file at a time, and those are the tasks we are talking about. And again, if it can be a run library job as well. So you just make library job as a element over there, and it will run all the steps in that library job as a task. And then there are constraints that you can specify. So when you are specifying a job, actually you don't specify go run on this machine. Actually you specify that these are the constraints, apply on the machine, and based on that decide like which machine to select. So let's say if I have to do testing using WTT, what I'll do is I'll start with selecting 10 or 15 machines that I have and run a WTT client exe. What it will do is it will collect all the data from the client machine and send it to the server. Now that information contains the hardware configuration, what are the hardware on that machine, then software if anything. So that information goes to the server. Now that server will use that information when you are scheduling job. So when you are setting up a job, you are saying like this is my constraint, I want a machine with more than 512 MB RAM. I don't want to run on a machine which will have less RAM, so won't be good for a server class of machine. So that kind of constraint we use. So this is covering that. Moving on, parameters, like a lot of time you'll see like you are defining a job, and then that is pretty similar to what you want to do for the next job as well. So or maybe you have a binary which takes some parameters. So for one test case you want to give one set of parameter, for other test case you want to give a different set of parameters. So for that, in those scenarios you get something called parameters, and it is kind of environment variable that you can use during the definition of your job. Logical machine set, it is pretty much as I said, like you define your test machine and you join and send that information to the server. So now server knows all your machine set, and you join all those machines to a lab that you define. So it is a virtual lab that you define. Let's say if I have 15 machines, so all will be falling into Binay lab. Then when I define my job, in job I'll say, okay, these are the constraints to use on the machine, and based on that select a machine set. So out of 15 it will find, okay, these are the 3 satisfying it. Maybe either I can manually choose from it, or it can automatically choose from that and send the job over there. With that, I would ask Rini to come over and show you what I am talking about. Let me know.
To get the client information and other stuff, are you using WMI as an underlying technology?
No. It's a proper C program that we have. The tool is called sysparse, system parsing, and that goes and collect the information. Sorry, the question was how do we collect the information from the system? So it's a utility that goes with WTT client, and that is called sysparse. It, as far as I know, doesn't use WMI interfaces. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Binay. I just want to show whatever covered till now about the job, how to schedule a job, how to collect the results. Okay. So this is my dev box where I install the studio, so where I can manage the jobs. And okay, so we have different explorers, different UIs for jobs results. One is like Job Explorer, where I can create a new job and I can schedule a job. Then I have to go to the Result Explorer and Job Monitor, where is the job status, whether it is working or not. Okay. So this is my LDAP. My current tests are running on WTT, and all these machines are in private lab, so we cannot go to the machines where the tests are running, but we can monitor from here that whether the tests are running or not. Since it is a demo purpose, I'm creating a job under scratch, and okay, these are the jobs I just created for demo purpose, and I'm going to create a new job, and we'll see the information covered in Binay's presentation, like constraint and other things. Okay, we can give any name for this job. And we can specify what is the priority of this job. Okay, when you got the results, we want to see the results only for Pry 1 jobs, Pry 2 jobs. The manager wants to see only for Pry 1, how many failures are there in Pry 1. So you have to specify that what is the priority of this job. And this is total number of variations, like we want to run this job on Win2K machine, XP machine, and Server 2003. We can specify what are the different variations we want to cover. And so I don't want to give any parameters. This job doesn't need any parameters. I'm running a small job, and here I can constraint. I can select what is the OS I would like to run, on which OS I would like to run, or I can say within this OS. Okay, we can say that Win2K2, Win2K3. Okay, or you can specify equal. And we can specify the build number also. If you want to test on a particular build, you can specify that what is that OS build number. And I don't want to select this option because, and it's a single machine job or multi-machine job. Okay, I want to show another job which I selected all these options, because I don't want to create a small job with this constraint. And once if you select multi-machine job, we cannot go back to as a single machine job, this option. And here the tasks, a job can have multiple tasks, task 1, 2, 3, and we can ask to run these tasks in parallel or in sequence. Okay, suppose you want to copy something from some other machine and then you want to run the test, then task 1 and task 2 will be executed in sequence. Okay, so what type of task it is? A simple execution or a copy file? We can select any option here. Okay, I want to show only a small job like running a command AR or something and show the results. Then we will run actual job of my component. To run this job, I need to open a new command shell, create a new command shell and run this job. Otherwise, I can't run from the command prompt. And it doesn't have any attributes. Okay, code coverage is depending upon the test you are running. This doesn't have any code coverage. And once you select all the options, here is the option save. Okay. Okay, the job is, we can schedule the job. We save the job and we need to schedule this job. And we have different machine pools, okay, where we want to run this job. Okay. And we can restrict the machines where you want to run this job. Okay, in my machine pool I have some machines. I can say that run this job on particular machine. So this is a simple job I want to run on one machine. I don't want to run all the machines. And at the scheduled time also we can give constraint. Okay, we created the job without any constraint, but at the scheduled time we can create the constraint. And okay, here we can specify that, okay, you know that this job will run only for 5 to 10 minutes, less than 5 minutes. So you can select that. Option. Okay, and there are some jobs you know that it should run only for 45 minutes. It's keep on running 2 days, then you can say that fail and stop. Okay, you can specify that in this option, that what is the maximum time you can run the job. This is useful for performance. If you want to see the performance of your particular job, you can select this option. And finally, mailing options. Okay, once the job is done, you want to see the result whether the job is completed or not. So we can select, suppose if you know that you want to collect only failed jobs, you can select only that option. Okay, so we schedule the job. Now we want to see that whether the job is running, what state it was, whether the machine was selected or not. Okay, there is a job monitor UI is there. So because it's a simple job, it executed very fast, and now it is in the process of sending mail. So it will specify that where is the log of that job. We can see the log of that job also, and because this job doesn't generate any log for us, so it won't make any sense to see the log, and it will specify that whether the test is passed or failed. And suppose if you have a test case and you have multiple tests in that one, so it will specify that what is the percentage it pass. So going back to the studio, okay, I would like to show what is the library job and how the other jobs will run the library jobs. Okay, and the result explorer. Okay, if you go to, sorry. So the result explorer, we can see that the job is ran. Okay, here this indicates that it is success or failure. All the failure jobs it will give. Okay, the reason it is not giving a pass count is, what is it? The pass percentage is it's not, log is not generated, and it doesn't result any either pass or fail. And I will go back and show my jobs so that you can see that a library job and what is the purpose of library job, how other jobs will call the library jobs. Okay. So these are my jobs created. Okay, and if you look at here, it is saying that it is a library job. Some of these jobs are going to use this library job. Okay, if I open, so I gave the detail what this job is doing, and if you look at the here I am saying that run this number 65 job, which is a library job, with this parameter. Okay, there are two types of library jobs. One are created for everybody, like setting up a OS machine. Everybody will use that one. This library job is created for myself, for my test purpose. It won't be used by others. Okay, and in this job I am going to call this library job with this particular parameter. In some other test I am going to call this same library job with some other parameter. And if you look at here, there are other library jobs. Okay, deploy a OS. This is a general library job, will be used by everybody. Okay, so you want to put a new OS on a machine. You need not sit on that machine and install the OS. Okay, you can run this job, which will create a machine for you with particular OS. And these are the different library jobs, like DC promo. If you want to put a directory service on a machine, you can go for this library jobs. And I would like to run my test, one of the tests, so that we can monitor that where is the test status, what are the different levels in that state. So I am going to select my machine pool. Okay, this test is going to run on different machines, x86, IA64, with different operating system. And we can see the log also once it's generated. We'll go to job monitor. Okay, so now it is in the EA, means execute agent. It is trying to give to the job to different machines. Meantime, I'll show the result collections. So in the result collection, I have that what are the different jobs I ran, and what is the percent of attempt and percentage of pass and failure. We don't have any jobs failure, so we didn't get that information. Suppose you run a job and it pass only 60%, we'll get 60% pass here. And the result roll up okay, these are the jobs ran, and it gives the minimum build and maximum build where the job ran. And we can collect now what are the builds we want to see the results. We don't need to see all the blocks, so we can, in the result roll up, we can specify that what are the build results you want to collect. And in this RC you don't have that feature, so I cannot able to show that, but we can, in future we can do that. For this build I want the logs. See that what happened to that job. We didn't get the mail for this job. We'll see. Okay, we'll wait some more time and see that why we didn't get the mail. Okay, and one more thing is I created so many jobs and we are running the test here, and this is a feature job import export, so that I can export these jobs so that it will be in files. So other place we can import the jobs, we can run the jobs. And similarly you can have the result import export, where we can get the results from outsourcing team, and we will import those results here, and on our WTT machine we'll see the results, how the tests are performed. Okay, I just want to show the result import export feature is not available in WTT. I just want to show how job import export feature will work and how the files are stored, how the jobs are stored. In WTT everything is in XML. The jobs, results and job information will be stored in XML, so that we can use either WSDL or SOAP, any technology, to get the XML files on the other machine. So I want to select all these jobs, and I'm sorry, this is a result roll up. Okay, so I want to only export my LDAP jobs. So I can specify that we'll see that how the jobs look like in a plain text in the XML file. So it will export attributes and the user information and the parameters. So it is giving that total jobs are exported 42 and the library jobs are 2. And I use the global parameters, some global parameters for some jobs. Okay, this is all the jobs I just exported. We can open in a so it will show information about what is this job is doing, like where it is running, the command, and where it is going to put the log file. It will have all the information. So when you import these jobs, you just ran them at the offshore. Okay, so we will send these files to the outsourcing team or offshore, and they will import these files and they will run the test. So we have the same jobs at Redmond and at Hyderabad, and so that we can see the results and import the results from IDC. And when we created the job, just I would like to show that our other options for job. So we selected the automated job. We can have library, manual or config job, which we covered in that presentation. Okay, if you selected library job, the options are different here. Okay. Okay, and finally I would like to show that the asset management, like we have a lab, what is this asset management and how it will work. Like we have two different labs. We can have our own machines, and we feel that those machines are not enough to run a particular job, we can loan from other lab. Okay, so that this is useful for the managers, like to see that. Okay.
Can you see a graphical analysis?
Yeah, the question is, can we see the graphical analysis of how many tests pass, how many tests fail? We can generate a result report where we can see that individual jobs, whether that test passed or not. I'm going to show that one, but I didn't see any like graphical way to present.
Can we export it to Excel or something?
Can we explore?
Export that result from Excel or some other format?
Yeah, we can do that one. We can export into a Excel sheet. So I would like to show that. Okay. Let me complete these assets, then I will show that how to see the results for all the tests. Okay. So if I select here, it will show that, sorry, it will show that what are the machines pool in this for my machine pool, and these are the different machine pools. And when I need any machine from this machine pool, I can send a mail to him that I'm going to use his machine. I can just pull this machine from here to my machine pool. So when I schedule my job, the machine, previously I have only 3 machines, now I have 4 machines. Okay. So this is called, like, I'm loaning from other machine pool or other manager. So this will be really useful to track how many machines we have in a particular lab, how many machines are usable. Okay, and I already show that if a machine is not working, we can remove. When you run the task, when you schedule the job, we can specify that only select these machines. Yes, previously this test failed, so we got this, the test failed because the machine may not be ready to run this particular test. Yeah, we will see the log.
The pass count is 1.
Okay, we'll see the log, what is that? Okay, this is for your question, like, can we have a graphical presentation, how many tests pass, fail? We can view these results like in this fashion, like all the result, we can select a particular test and we can see that what is happening in that particular test. see that I got it. Okay, the reason I didn't get mail is I didn't select that option. Like I asked to send only if it is a pass or only pass, so I didn't get that. So in the mail I don't see that log. No, I didn't select that option.
Why have we given that option? If it is passed,
Okay. Yeah, actually, if you are running, okay, I'm sorry. The question is, why we have to give that option when the job pass, fail? Why we need those options? Okay, if you have 100 jobs, okay, and I ran this job every day, at least 3-4 times on different configurations. I don't want to receive mails like for all 100 jobs. Okay, we don't have any way to say that only I need how many jobs failure and how many job pass. Even that information won't help me. I want to know which jobs failure and which job pass. So in that case, I will select send me mail only if the job failure. Okay, and there is another option also. We can have a CC to your manager. Assume that he is getting so many mails. So that option is useful, but I have to select that other option also. So we might have seen that log why it is failing. Okay, I can show here this actually the same test pass. You see, like it is showing the pass count is 3263. This test has so many internally so many test cases. It will execute all of them. Okay, so there is only one test pass and it failed. Even the job is partially passed, we'll get a job didn't execute properly. So that is the reason it got failed here, and the pass count is 1. Whereas if you look at the same test I ran, the pass count is different. And I can show that logs where they log. Okay. Actually, this job look and this log is generated on that machine where the job is running, the test is running. So since this is on a private network, I cannot go to that machine and view the log. I didn't select the option to place somewhere else in the shared place.
Can we not see on the Explorer the log?
Yeah, this view log from the,
On the Explorer.
yeah, even the Explorer is in the private network. You cannot connect to that machine. Okay, the question is, I'm sorry, the question is, can we see that log on the Explorer? Okay, we can see that log if we have permission to that machine, if you can connect to that machine. Since we cannot able to connect that machine, we cannot see the log. Okay, we are not, this job when I executed, I didn't put that to have a central location where I can view the log. And so you can see here the error log. Just a minute. Okay, because this has happened because there is generate token file task is there which didn't perform, and so the job failed in this case. Okay, so with this I want to give back to Binay. Do you have any questions?
Yes.
If you have any questions, go ahead.
So we can export our job to exception. I mean, XML. And we can import it again to another location. We can export.
Yes.
So we need the same environment setup there also. I mean, same machine pool.
No, we don't need the same machine pool. The job is different from job schedule. Job doesn't have the information where to run the job. Job has only information what are the different tests you are going to run. Okay, there is another job which will do the setup for you. The first job is set up LDAP, my component setup. So at your place it will set up for you. The next job is run all the tasks. So you can specify that where you want to run. Schedule this job XML file doesn't have the information about schedule time information. It has only when you created the job. Okay, similarly we have result import export feature, but in this RC we don't have, so I didn't show that.
Any other
Any
questions?
other questions?
Yes.
So link between Product Studio and WTT.
So the question is there a link between Product Studio and WTT? The answer is yes and no. Like if you are asking like if there is a failure in WTT, can bug be filed? Yes, there are some automation where the bug is filed, but let's say if somebody doesn't really need to file a bug, then it won't be done. So I'll come to a feature where I'll be talking about that kind of automation. Any other question? Yeah, on the back.
What is the connection between a test case, a job, and a task?
Okay, the question is what is the connection between a test case, a task, and a job? Okay, a job can have multiple tasks. Okay, we added only one task. We can have multiple tasks, and in the test case, in the job, in each task you are calling a test case or multiple test cases. Okay, suppose you have a job to run all the component tests. We can have a single job where the first task is set up the machine and the second task is run the test. Okay, in your run the test, we can have, let's say that you have the batch file like all.batch. In the all.batch you can have individual test cases. That answers your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does the tool take care of the conflicts that we have, like same IP addresses, same domain name, two jobs create the same domain name? Conflicts can occur because all the pieces are running in environment.
Yeah. The question is, if you are having multiple jobs, how it will work? Like the scheduler won't schedule the job until the other job finish the. Like suppose you have two jobs and you schedule the both jobs on 3 machines. Suppose the first job scheduler.
No. Okay, I think I got your question right. So the question is, if you have like same test script that is creating say same name domain, then if you run multiple instances of that, won't the test fail? Like it will fail even in your normal scenario when you are running that same test script at 2 machines. So it should be handled in your test script that if you are gonna create the domain name, is that domain name already taken off? If it is taken off, maybe you wanna add some subscript or prescript to it so that a new domain can be created that will not have name class. Does it answer?
But if two different persons are executing the job, they are not aware of what domain is going to be done.
So the question, if 2 persons are running the job and actually one doesn't know about the other executing the same test which has a default name and default the same name. For that, I would strongly recommend using the parameters that you define in the job and that parameter you should be setting while executing the test. And let me add one more thing there. There is a concept of a private lab. So you can set up your own private lab that won't have access to the normal stuff that is there on the CorpNet. So for those private lab, you will have to set up a router that will be controller, if you remember in the presentation. So over there, everything inside that is a private lab, and if you are just doing anything, even if you have a duplicate name with respect to some other private lab or the CorpNet, it should work just fine.
Is this process similar to MATLAB?
The question is this process same as MATLAB? WTT has more features. I'm not sure that what are the other features. The MATLAB is serving for Windows Office. The idea of WTT is across Microsoft, like different groups coming back and asking for different features, and WTT is trying to put all those features.
So just to supplement that, apart from MATLAB, there are some more test harnesses or test management automation tools out there in Microsoft. With WTT, we are trying to address all the features, or kind of creating a superset of all the features that are coming from all of them. And we'll go into like some of the features that will maybe cover all of them, and you'll get that answer. Any other questions? Yes.
Is there a way to tag a test case to a type of test? For example, this test case with in-depth test or broad test pass or those kinds?
So the question is, can you tag a test case with a variation of test pass? The answer is yes, and that will depend on how you want to tag it. Either you can tag it with respect to priority. Let's say your test plan is defined in a way that all P1 tests falls for breadth GDR pass or in-depth pass, and all P2 test falls in that as well as somewhere else. So based on priority it is done, or you can set a tag saying that okay, this applies to all this configuration.
There is no specific separate field or something very different.
Not exactly. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sini. Let me start with the philosophy that we started WTT with. The philosophy was the way we get a source build, like the OS build or the service pack build. Similarly, we should be getting a test build. So every time a build comes out, we'll have a test build, we'll have a source code build, and there should be machines available, and we already have tests defined. So those machines should go out. First, you can do like it should automatically do an analysis based on the changes that are going in. So it will figure out what are the tests that really impact that changes, and based on that it should schedule jobs, and those jobs should go and cover all the changes, and they should all run automatically. Everything should be happening without any human intervention. So that is the ultimate goal that we are targeting, so that testers will be mostly thinking in innovative terms rather than on like setting up machines or executing tests or running EXEs and so on. With that, let me get into some of the features that WTT provides. One is WTT command.exe. So this is the command line tool that gives all the features that you are seeing on the UI. So rather than like clicking over things, you can automate everything that was done through a script, and you can just move on. So you can do WTT command / as usual for any command line tool and see all the options. WTT SDK, as the name specifies, it is the software development kit. If you want to develop a EXE, it provides C# as well as C interfaces. You can write your own program that will take all the features over here and get it into a EXE. And as I said in the previous WTT command, that is actually built on top of this one. So you can write your own command line too.
Is it .NET enabled?
Yes, CSOP. Okay, let me get into another big pillar of WTT. That's logging. Like we had multiple automation tools or different logging infrastructure. And what we did with WTT logging is like bring all of them together and add some more, especially with respect to distribution. Like whenever you have multiple processes doing logging, there was a real chaos. Like let's say if you are taking handle on the log file, that means you are decreasing the performance of the logging. But if you are not taking a handle, like you are not blocking that file from somebody else to write, you don't take a lock on that file, that means if everybody is writing to that file at the same time, the order of messages that are going into that file again becomes random. So with that in mind, in WTT logging what we have done is we have a single publisher, multiple consumer environment. What it means is like if you have multiple processes running on the machine, they will send an event, and that event will be caught by a publisher, and that publisher will be sending out again messages that is like these are the events happening. You can set up consumers that can catch those messages and put into a log file or display on a console or however you want. So let's say if you have 10 machine environment on which like you have test running on 10 machines and all, then there will be one publisher on say the main machine that will be taking events from all the network machines and putting them in one place and then sending out messages. Now it's up to you. You may want to have all the client machines or all other machines catching that message and putting there on the local machine, or you may want to handle it differently. Does it make sense? Oh, cool. There is a, yeah.
Is it user configurable or network configurable? This logging aspect? Can every user configure the way they want to capture?
Yeah, it's totally. I don't have time, otherwise I would have shown you some programs. It's pretty much that you set up all in your test script or test program itself. So you start saying, okay, I want to have WTT logging started. Then you will set a device. Now, if you are writing a distributed test script, then you will set up device. Everything like in Windows, everything is object. In WTT logging, everything is device. So there is a publisher device, there is consumer device. So there are APIs. I'll give you a link to a document that has all the APIs defined, and they will clearly like specify what are the functionality or what are the APIs you will have to call in different programs so that the functionality you want from there is there. Any other questions? Okay. Then there is one more feature that's called filter. So you can apply a filter device. Like that again is a device. So you can apply a filter device and say, okay, filter out everything which is not this, or filter out everything which is this, which satisfies this criteria. So that can be applied based on the consumer. So one consumer may have a filter device, another may not have. It again depends on like what kind of testing you are doing and what kind of test requirement you have. There may be some requirement where you really have say 100 test cases and what you are looking for is more than 90% test pass. So then your requirement changes, and there may be some scenarios where you will say even a single test failure we want to file a bug or something on that line. Moving on, logging provides COM, C, CSOP and C++ interfaces, and there is a document that I'll show you at the end that has all the interfaces like defined pretty well. Asset tracking, if you remember, like we were talking about sysparse, a tool that collects information from your machine. So that puts the device on the list of devices that is being tracked by WTT. Now it's a pretty easy drag and drop, as Srini showed already, to loan a machine or take it back. And anyway, like that is creating a totally virtual lab kind of environment all across Microsoft. So let's say if I need a device that really is not available in my lab, and I know there is one available somewhere in Microsoft, I can just pull out that guy from WTT interface, schedule my job like loaning from there, and just run the test. Now coming to some other features that WTT provides. One is model-based testing. How many of you know model-based testing? Any idea? Okay. So you define a stage of a machine that, okay, machine is in this stage, then it moved on to this stage. So once you have defined the stages of the machine, then rather than writing the test for it that, okay, if it is in this stage, if I trigger this event, it will go in this stage. Now if you can just define that, then WTT has IT and model-based testing integrated, which will take care of validating all your assumptions. So test cases, testing, everything is developed right there, and you don't have to do anything. So you are just modeling the machine or machine movement from one phase to another phase.
It's like the state diagram.
Yeah, it's totally like a state-based machine testing. WTT metric, it's a feature that helps you analyzing the system while you are running your test. So rather than going and collecting all the data about the processes that are running or that are of your interest, like let's say if you have a RPC, then whatever RPC EXEs are there, if you are using them, then rather than going on individually and you collect the data, you can just use this feature, call one or two APIs, and that will log the data. And you can also do analysis later on, and that will give you a clear picture, if not very, very exact stack, but it will give a clear picture if it is going on the same line as it used to, or it is something different. In fact, in WTT logging, there is a feature where you can compare your current results with respect to the results that you think is the standard. So that way, that also gives the discrepancy between the results, and hence you can easily find regression. Moving on, custom sysparse, you can define your own sysparse. Sysparse currently collects a set of data that is pretty standard, but if you are, say, doing networking testing and some of the network support that device is giving, if that is not stored, then you can write a custom sysparse just on top of it that satisfies all of your needs. WTT test harness, it's pretty much on a model-based testing, like it provides you an environment where you can, it's not exactly phase-based testing, but it's more like in general APIs where you can define and take help from there and write your test really, really fast. A smart scheduler, currently we have a scheduler which is totally one by one kind of thing. Like if you run one job, that is it, that machine is blocked. You can't run two jobs at the same time because it doesn't know if you can really run two jobs at the same time. So it just blocks the machine. So rather than that, in future we are trying to incorporate a feature where you can just define, okay, even if I'm running this test, it's not gonna block the machine. This is kind of thing that should be blocked. If your test is dependent of this kind of thing, don't run. Otherwise, you are free to run the other test as well. There is distributed synchronization coming in SDK, it's not yet there. And there is code coverage integration. So code coverage integration is, as I was talking earlier, that once you have build come out, then rather than you figuring out like, okay, what were the fixes went in, it will be automatically done by the code coverage analysis, that these are the changes that has gone in, and these are the maybe tests that can be done that can cover most of the changes. So WTT is trying to integrate both code coverage and WTT together. So in future we'll have everything done automatically. Like your test build comes out, your normal OS build comes out, the tests are automatically decided which test to run. OS is like reloaded, or the service pack is reloaded on the machine. Tests are gone, run on the machine, results are logged. If there is break, then there is a tool called auto triaging that can figure out, okay, if this is the break, what is the component and that the break is in, and accordingly what should be who should be it assigned to. So it goes there, and also a bug is filed, a person is assigned. So kind of end-to-end total automation. So you guys only have to write new tests which is needed. With that I'll close. If you have any question, let me know.
When we will be using this tool?
So 2.0 is coming out in April, as I said, and for W2K we have started migration from TE to WTT, and for XP there are core team is moving some stuff, and the component that we are owning we are gonna move as after TP12, or depending on the team that you are working for. Any other questions? Okay, here are few links that you may want to look at, and especially if you want to get started, this is the guy, this SP doc teams WTT docs, that's the beginner guide that will help you, give you all the links that you really need. Thank you.